hands-on with the USB-C enabled Glyph Atom RAID SSD. The Glyph Atom RAID SSD is similar to the normal Atom SSD, except this one contains two SSDs inside in a RAID 0 configuration, and when connected to the right computer, this results in even faster transfer speeds. But outside of that RAID configuration, the Atom RAID SSD is pretty much identical to the Atom SSD. Now obviously the RAID version is a little bit wider to accommodate that extra solid-state drive inside, but as you'll see here, everything else is the same. So underneath the Atom SSD, you're going to find two USB-C cables. One is a USB-C to USB-C cable for a direct connection to your MacBook Pro, this one right here, and the other is a USB-C to USB-A cable, and this allows you to connect to older Mac hardware. So you get both of these in both the Atom SSD and the Atom RAID SSD package. You also get this removable silicone sleeve, which adds a little bit more ruggedness. So here is the Atom versus the Atom RAID, and you can see the RAID version is a little bit wider, but other than that, pretty much across the board exactly the same. You still have that nice aluminum chassis, you still have that excellent build quality, you get those rubber feet on the bottom to keep it from sliding around on your desk. You also have those LED indicators for activity. So that's about 2.5 inches wide and about 4.5 inches tall. I find that the size is very similar to your typical deck of cards. On the top you get the USB-C connector, which allows you to connect directly to your MacBook Pro. And again, this is the same connector that the regular Atom uses to connect to your computer as well. So let's talk about really the main advantage of getting the Atom RAID SSD over the Atom SSD. The first big difference is storage capacity. The RAID SSD maxes out at 2 terabytes, whereas the regular Atom SSD maxes out at 1 terabyte. And that can be a big difference for some depending on how you plan on using the external drive. But really the big difference is speed, because the RAID SSD features transfer speeds up to 840 megabytes per second. Both of these devices use USB 3.1 Gen 2 for up to 10 gigabits per second throughput, but only the RAID model has the speed to take advantage of all of that extra throughput. And here's something else to consider. Only the new MacBook Pro features USB 3.1 Gen 2, so if you're using this device with a 12-inch MacBook, for instance, with USB-C, it's going to be slower because those devices use USB 3.1 Gen 1, which is basically just glorified USB 3.0. But here on this Blackmagic disk speed test, you can see the speed of the Atom RAID SSD. It is super fast thanks to that extra throughput afforded by USB 3.1 Gen 2, and of course, those two SSDs set up in the RAID 0 configuration. Now here's something else to consider. If you are directly connecting the Atom RAID SSD to your MacBook Pro, then you're going to be good. You're going to get speeds like we see right here, because like we mentioned, those ports on the side of the MacBook Pro are USB 3.1 Gen 2, so you're going to be able to experience the full potential of the drive. Now, if you connect to something like the LG Ultrafine 5K display with USB 3.1 Gen 1 ports, your experience is going to be a little bit different. Let me test it out and show you guys. So this is connected to the LG Ultrafine 5K display, and that display features USB 3.1 Gen 1 ports, and you can see the difference there. The write and read speeds are basically cut in half. So the point is, unless you're connected directly to a Gen 2 interface, then you're wasting the potential of the Atom RAID SSD, which is super fast, super small, super portable, and in my opinion, a great pickup for creative professionals. Let me know what you think in the comment section. This is Jeff with 9 to 5 Mac.